You're watching Tea and Poetry with Dave Steele, the blind poet.
So I want to start off. It's great to be here. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everyone to another edition of Tea and Poetry. It's great to be here. I am Barry Asman. I am together with my dear co-host, the one and only Dave Steele, the blind poet. And we are excited and looking forward to bringing some updates to you. Dave's going to talk about his day. We're going to talk some poetry, and we are hopefully going to. This lady's looking like I'm crazy, but we are going to hopefully. I encourage everyone to please interact, to please join the conversation. This is a fantastic atmosphere. This is a friendly, tight-knit community, and I just want to encourage everyone to please participate. Before we just go further, I just want to say that you can connect with us by sending a message through the Q&A. Everyone always tells me the chat is disabled, so we'll use the Q&A, and if you raise your hand, that means that you would like us to call upon you as well. So again, it's great to be here. I am going to step away, so Dave's gonna have to do a little solo maneuvering here, but I know he has a lot to share, and I will be back later on during this episode. So, but before I go, I just want to know, Dave, I want to ask you a question. You're gonna go into more details. How was it?
It's been a long, tiring day, but
I can see.
Yeah, but so amazing, and we will kind of talk about things more in just a moment. But yeah, a fantastic day, lots more to kind of report, and yeah, a busy few weeks ahead. But I can't wait for everyone to kind of get up to speed with what's going on here, and also, you know, experience the results.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah.
Fantastic. We're coming off the heels of an incredible. Last week was incredible, and I know today's gonna be incredible as well. I want to give a quick shout out to Allison, Dr. Harrier, Philip, Ron, and Val, and some great new faces here as well. So it's good to see everyone. I want to apologize for this last minute meeting that's going a little late, and I will be back hopefully very shortly. So
okay, enjoy your meeting. They're in safe hands with me.
Thank you. That for sure. That for sure. The greatest of the greatest. All right, it's all yours, Dave.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Right, guys. Well, welcome to another week of Tea and Poetry. I'm just going to have a look and see kind of who's here. I'd love you guys to kind of get interactive with me as we kind of go along. I will be kind of talking about what's been going on here in the house today. Those, I'm sure there's people out there. I know Alison's out there, and there's a few others who kind of follow me on my personal social media. You may have seen a picture posted earlier today, or just like a few hours ago from today, and it's been a very I want to say unusual day in the Steele household. 8 a.m. this morning, a film crew landed on my doorstep, and when I say a film crew, I'm not just talking like, you know, a couple of guys with cameras. I'm talking a full-on, like, van arrived, all the gear unloaded. The living room where I'm sat at the moment, literally everything got moved. There was lights everywhere, windows being blacked out, cameras being set up everywhere, and we did a full day of filming for something that I am working on at the moment, another project. Now, those of you who know or have been on Tea and Poetry for the last few weeks will see some of the things, the crazy things I've got to be able to do. Recently, we did an event for Audi when I went for a week and spoke at an event at this amazing kind of mansion for this owned by this billionaire guy, talking about how a person with a visual impairment and low vision or blindness experiences a car journey, and reading some poetry. You will have also seen that I did a social media commercial for Kellogg's over the last couple of weeks as well, which has had an amazing response from people out there as well. Wrote a piece of poetry about how a visually impaired person like myself experiences and deals with making breakfast for the family, and talking about NaviLens and the new technology that's going to be on all the boxes across Europe here, and hopefully soon making its way over to America, which reads out all the instructions from the app as well. So that was pretty cool. And at the moment, I can't say too much at the moment about this project, but I'm working on a major global campaign, which we've just been filming for today. I'm also going to be down in London next week doing some more filming for that, and going into a recording studio to record a piece of poetry that I've written especially for it. Then the following week, or the week after, I should say, I then go and shoot the actual commercial with two other amazing visually impaired artists. And I can't really talk more about it at the moment, but it's going to be something that you're all going to get to see and know more about as the weeks go on. It's going to be a global campaign, so not just something here in the UK, but right across the world. And yeah, I'm so blown away that, you know, we've got organizations and companies approaching us and approaching me to write poetry for these campaigns and events. So it's been a pretty crazy day. And the film crew landed today, and my wife was being filmed, I was being filmed. My youngest son Austin, who I know a lot of you guys kind of know through our bedtime stories that we do on Facebook. He was being filmed, but also took over as the director for a little while, and guiding the film crew on what to do and stuff like that, coming up with some great ideas. So it was amazing to see. But we're gonna talk more about that as the hour goes on. I'm gonna read a piece of poetry to start off with, and then I'd like to hear from some of you guys. I want to hear about your week, and let me know what's been going on in your world. And if you have any questions with regards to the stuff that I've been doing, I'd love to answer any questions today. And not only any questions on what's been going on here over the last couple of weeks, but also any questions at all. I always like to say I'm an open book with regards to my kind of story, my experiences of losing my vision, and also writing the poetry and everything else that I do as the blind poet. But I'm going to tonight, while Barry's away at the meeting before he comes back later, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a thing that I don't normally do. And I have done it before, but I haven't done it for a while. And that is, you can do it in the Q&A. You can do it by raising your hand and coming on and speaking. But I'm going to be a complete open book tonight, and you can ask me anything that you want, no matter how personal you think the question might be, anything that you'd like to know with regards to my work and my poetry, and the family life of my story. Come on and ask me your difficult questions and anything you'd like to know. And yeah, we'll do that. But before we do that, I want to read you a piece of poetry. And this one is one that I wrote. Christopher, my guide dog, is scratching at the door. He was also in the film, by the way. This was also this was a poem that was written last year, I believe, but I've not read it. So I've posted it online, but I've not actually read this one. And this one actually really talks about tea and poetry in a lot of ways, because it really talks about what this platform is all about, as I'm sure a lot of you guys will agree. So here we go. If you're searching for someone who understands how your eyes see, don't worry, look no further, because there's others here like me. I know just how you feel on days when you feel down. This poetry that lives in me will ease away that frown. My rhyming explanations, this low vision that we share, reminding you you're not alone, there's always someone there. I know you feel self-conscious when you're trying to use your cane, avoiding making eye contact and reasons to explain. I'm with you when you're scanning for that thing that you've misplaced, your heart full of frustration and your doubts on self-worth based. But all these things are normal. There's no need for you to feel, there's no need to feel a freak. The thoughts that isolate you, together we will speak. So call me if you need me. I mean every word I rhyme. I know my life is busy, but for you, I'll make the time. Just trust in this blind poet. I will show you I'm a friend that understands these things, and this you always can depend. There we go. That's the poem to open up. And I know a lot of you out there that are kind of friends with me on Facebook, and we speak a lot, will know that every word I mean and every word is true. So, okay, I'm looking at the chat now and the Q&A. I want someone to put their hand up, come and say hello, ask me any questions. If you're feeling self-conscious, you don't have to come on camera. I'd like you to. It'd be nice to see you. But if you just want to ask a question in the Q&A or just do it on the audio, you can do that as well. But let's get interactive. Come on, let's see some hands. Okay, I'm just going to give it a minute. Looking who's out there. Alison's out there, Joan's out there, Callie's out there, Philip's out there, Ron's out there. Some new faces out there. Sandy's out there. Sandy, your books. Your books. Oh, sorry, someone else. Val's out there. Okay. I believe Sandy's a friend of Doreen. That's right. And I think Sandy messaged me today as well. So I'm just checking the Q&A. Everyone's very, very quiet tonight. I'm just hoping there's going to be some people. So there's no open questions in the Q&A. Everyone's gone a bit shy. Okay, while you guys are plucking up the courage, I'm going to read some more poetry, if that's what you. Oh, we have a hand. We got two hands. Oh, look at this. Right. Okay, we got two hands. Let's go with Sandy first of all. Let's have a look. Sandy, are you there?
Yes. Can you?
Hey, there we go. I can hear you loud and clear. I don't think I can see you, but that's okay. We can just do audio. How are you, Sandy? You okay?
Yes, I'm fine. I wanted to thank you. You gave me a little help the other day, but I also wanted to say I'm a friend of Doreen's, or I should.
Yep.
She's really been phenomenal through this whole new experience. And yeah, there's 1,000 things I'd like to ask you, but one thing I'm truly afraid of, as Doreen had told me, research, read, find out everything you can. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting close. So I have been trying to prepare the house and learn as much as I can. And actually, I saw one of your poems, and there was one phrase that really resonated with me. And
What
it's,
phrase was that?
as for blindness, I prepare. And yeah, but I wondered when this happened to you, and I hear people mention it. One of my biggest fears is my memory and not being able to function because I can't remember where I put things or.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And go ahead, please.
No, go, no, carry on.
I think you mentioned something about boxes one time, and you put boxes, or someone did, around the house. So I started to do that, and I've done a few other things, but I got a long way to go. So I'm learning a lot, and my fear is my memory. And
couple of questions for you, Sandy. With regards to your vision, then, because we've only just literally started speaking. I think it's a recent thing. Is it AMD? Is it age related macular degeneration?
It's macular degeneration, yeah. And I've actually been getting the injections for almost 8 years now, but it's come to a point where I'm kind of at the last quarter. I think they call it intermediate. And so I'm trying to prepare. And so that's where I am.
Honestly, I mean, I used the, as for blindness to prepare. And I think we all do that to a certain degree. And, it was me that mentioned about the boxes. It was when I did the Kellogg's advert. I was talking in the poem about how People like myself would use different colored labels on the side of boxes to kind of differentiate between certain things. And there's a lot of kind of tips and tricks that are out there that you'll find on various websites. The likes of obviously AFB and NFB are really good for things like that. But there's a charity that I'm actually an ambassador for here in the UK, and they have they're called Henshaws. That's HENSHAWS, Henshaws, and they have a YouTube channel called if you go, they have their own page on YouTube, or their own channel on YouTube called Henshaws. But as part of that YouTube channel, there's a thing they do called the Knowledge Village. And if you've got access to YouTube or the internet, have a little look for it. If not, I can send you a link through Facebook. And they do some really amazing kind of videos on all kind of tips and tricks to help you around the house, and also kind of emotional stuff as well, and support like that. And it's done in a real great way. And it's people like me and people that have really been through it that kind of are sharing the little things that they've used to kind of help them. And being on YouTube, I think it's a really great way to kind of take these things in as well. So if anyone else would like a link, you can get in touch, but I'll send links. The Knowledge Village, the person that runs it is a guy called Mark, and he's actually been a guest here on TM Poetry last year, and he's brilliant. For those of you who kind of are tuning in from the States, which is the majority of you, he's got a really strong Manchester accent, which is where I'm from. But I've not really got an accent as such, not like he has, because I've done a lot of traveling in my life, and my accent's kind of watered down. But you'll notice a big difference in his accent, but you can get it with subtitles if you need it. But yeah, the Knowledge Village videos are absolutely fantastic, so they're a great help. The other thing I'd say is, it's a great thing to actually prepare, but at the same time, also just kind of not focusing too much on what might be, as far as, because not everything with blindness and low vision is certain. We do need to kind of prepare for certain things, but I think kind of to a certain extent as well, not over preparing and kind of thinking too much about tomorrow, and kind of dealing with how your sight is right now. And it's amazing how and what we are capable of adjusting to. When I say to people who have no experience of low vision or blindness whatsoever that, my left eye now is completely blurred, I can't see out of that, and my right eye has got literally about 3 degrees of sight left, and they wouldn't know in most cases. And it's amazing how much you can do with very limited vision. Especially with the right kind of technology and support, and just kind of slowing down a little bit is that's when I have my bad eye days, as I say, or I'm getting frustrated. Where I make my mistakes, and I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate to this, where I make my mistakes most is by kind of not slowing down enough.
That's going to be hard.
Yeah, it is difficult. Even I still find it difficult, but it's just that kind of trying to take your time with things a little bit more. But it's amazing how we do adjust though. And every time I have like a dip in my vision, which I do have quite often, I panic first of all, thinking, oh my God, I've got a massive change in my vision. I'm never going to be able to adjust to this. And a few days kind of later or whatever, it sort of balances itself out. And it doesn't seem like as big as an adjustment as it did a few days ago. So, yeah, I don't know if you can kind of relate to any of that.
All right, that helps. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Any other questions you got? I'll give you one more before you go if you've got any other questions. Or
nope, I'm all set.
Okay, fantastic. Well, listen, Sandy, thank you very much for continuing to kind of join us and listen in. And and obviously I said this in the poem, and I say it all the time. Anytime you want to message me on Facebook, or you're struggling, or you want to ask anything, then feel free to reach out anytime.
Much appreciated. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
I'm going to send you back, and
Okay.
then we'll bring on the next person. Thanks, Andy. Okay, we did have another hand up. I'm just going to go to it now. I believe it's a new kind of caller for us, and I want to pronounce the name and make sure I get it right. I've got, I'm not too sure if it's front to back. I've got Ruthba Ali on the name. I think that's right. So let's bring you forward and see what your question is. Are you there, Ruthba?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I certainly can. How are you?
Oh, great. I'm great. Oh my gosh, I can't believe. Oh, okay.
Let's slow it down a second. Where are you calling in from?
I'm from Texas, Austin, Texas.
Oh wow, Austin,
United
Texas.
States.
Yeah, no, cool. Hopefully, I don't know. Are you new to the call as well?
I came, I think, like a couple times I was able to attend, but last few weeks I wasn't able to.
Okay,
But
I'm actually, well, the reason why I was saying that was I believe we put the announcement out a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if you were on the call. I've got a new series of books coming out in October, and we're going to be doing the release of the books from America. I'm going to be coming back out to tour, and one of the tour legs is going to be Austin.
wow.
So yeah, hopefully, yeah, it'd be great to kind of get to meet you in person. So good. So yeah, was I pronouncing your name right first of all as well? Is it Ruthba?
Yes,
Oh, cool.
it
Okay,
is.
good. And did you have a question?
Yes. So my question was, what is your process of like composing and reading poem? Because I know you got blind like later in life.
Yep.
And especially the reading part, because I'm sure, like, I don't know if you do Braille.
No, I don't. I think Braille's still really important, but I think with the technology that's out there at the moment, it's quite easy. It's not as vital to have it as it used to be. I know a lot of the charities in the States are still very big on it, especially NFB. I've done quite a bit of work with them and spoken at events for them, and they're very big champions of Braille. And I know a lot of kind of young children, visually impaired children in the States learn Braille. But for myself, doing it in later life, I found that kind of technology has kind of helped me not to. But I'm not kind of ruling it out for the future as well, because I think there's definitely a place in the world for it. With regards to my process, well, as you kind of sort of new to the call, and I know there's a few people who are newish to the call, I want to kind of give a background on my kind of low vision and how I became to write, the poetry that I've done, and I'll kind of do it the shortened version rather than the full version. So obviously the condition I have is retinitis pigmentosa. For those people out there that don't know anything about RP or retinitis pigmentosa, it's a hereditary condition. There's no treatment or cure for RP. Genetically runs in the family. In my particular case, comes from my mum's side. Now, my family found out we had RP in the family in the early 1980s, when my sister was the first one to be diagnosed with it. And when she was diagnosed in the early 80s, they didn't really know a lot about RP back then. And the doctors pretty much told her, oh, you've got this thing called retinitis pigmentosa. You're probably going to go blind when you're older. There's no treatment or cure. Oh, and by the way, don't have kids. Literally, and that's all she was told, because it's genetic, which is just crazy. But they didn't really know a lot about it back then. So I remember being 7 years old, going to an eye hospital when we first found out, having these drops put in my eyes, which I now know are dilating drops, because I've had loads of them since, as I'm sure you guys have had. And that was it. It was a bit scary. But then after that, I was told that it probably wouldn't affect me until I was much older. And I was kind of left to it, and I just went on and got about my life. So from my kind of late teens, early 20s, when I left college, I worked as a singer, toured all over the world, singing, did some musicals and things like that. Got on with my life. And then it was my late 30s when I went for a routine eye exam, that they looked in the back of my eyes, saw that the pigment was quite thick and there'd been a dramatic change since the last time they saw me, told me I needed to stop driving straight away. I then informed my employer that I'd been referred to a retinal specialist, and then they declared me legally blind or severely sight impaired, as it is here in the UK. And yeah, the first kind of 8 or 9 months of being declared severely sight impaired were a really dark time. I went through a lot of the things that most people go through, but with a bit more added to it as well. My employers let me go. They said that I was unable to work anymore because I couldn't do test drives, because I was working in car sales, and I couldn't tour around and do the gigs and shows that I had planned because I couldn't drive myself to them. And so I lost my means of employment. We applied for benefit and financial support through the government, but there was a 9-month waiting list for that. We fell into debt. We lost the house we were staying in because we couldn't afford the rent. We had to feed our kids on food parcels for a little while because we were struggling for money. And everything kind of changed when I got asked to go and attend a support group meeting for people with RP and Usher syndrome. And when they'd heard that I was a singer, they asked me if I would come and sing some songs for them and be the entertainment for the support group that day. And immediately when they asked me to do that, I said yes, because I was really nervous about being around other visually impaired people for the first time. I'd never really been around other blind people, and seeing people using a cane or having guide dogs was a glimpse into the future for me. It was like, it was pretty scary. So when they asked me to come and sing some songs and be the entertainment for the support group, I immediately said yes, because that kind of gave me my comfort zone and a reason for me to be there, and a bit of a purpose. Took away the nerves. And the way it all kind of happened was I was in bed the night before the event, going through songs, of ideas of songs to sing, and I decided that if I could take a song that everyone knows and change the words and talk about my kind of experience with my blindness and low vision, that would be quite a cool thing to do. And yeah, so I rewrote Stand By Me by Benny King in about 10 minutes in bed, changed the words. And when I performed it the following day, it was literally that kind of eureka moment. In fact, I remember saying to my wife when I wrote that song in bed the night before the event, or the night before the support group, I've just had this idea. I said to her, I've just had this idea, and it's going to change everything for us as a family. And I believed it. I didn't know how or why, but I just had this moment where I thought, if I could take these feelings that I was having and put it into that song, that it was going to be the start of something. And when I performed it the following day, people were saying to me that I was able to describe how they'd always felt about their journey with blindness and low vision, and it was making them feel like they were less alone. And I felt all of a sudden that I'd found my purpose again, that I'd found a reason to actually be in the world, because at that time I was in a really dark place and really, really struggling with anxiety and depression, because I was guilty for not only the fact that I was going blind, but the financial pressure I was putting on my family. And all of a sudden, these words literally just started to pour out of me, to the point where I was writing every day 2 or 3 poems a day about everything that we were going through as a family. And the more people that heard these poems when I posted them online, the more people would say to me that it was helping them feel like they were less alone, and they were using my words as a way for them to explain how they'd always felt to their friends and their family and their loved ones when they couldn't find the words themselves. And every time I got a message like that, it kind of rebuilt something in me. So to your question, after that kind of explanation of how I got here to where I am now, 1,000 poems later, I've still never written a poem that's taken me longer than 20 minutes, because if it's not coming from the heart, it's not worth writing. And it's honestly like every time I write, there's someone sat on my shoulder. The words found me when I needed them the most. And I just love this way of the fact that you can use social media to write a piece of poetry or write something, click a button and send it around the world to someone who needs to hear it that day. And when the film crew were here today, that was something they actually mentioned to me. It was one of the questions we were talking about. They were saying that when they'd done the research on me, a lot of the comments they'd seen on the poems was people saying things like, I really needed this today. And I know there's people out there on this call tonight who have actually wrote that in a message or in comments to me. So yeah, my process is just kind of listening to people's experiences, being open enough to kind of share everything about my experiences, talk about, you know, the good days, the bad days, the successes, the times I fail, the times I struggle, the times I feel confident, share it all in the hope that other people can kind of go, yeah, I feel like that too. And I think that's a pretty powerful thing.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. Can I ask another question?
You absolutely can.
So like after you have written, I know, like you said, you use technology to write.
Yeah.
But then
I've
after you
got my iPad and I put them all in my notes.
Mm-hmm. But then like you perform, the way you perform, it doesn't sound like you're reading it from something. Sounds like you're just like, it's so fluent. And I was just thinking that, you know, with technology, do you like memorize it, or you just like read it and
So
it just sounds
yes,
really natural?
I think certain ones. I mean, when you've got 1,000, it's hard to memorize them all. But there are certain ones that kind of stick with you, that will always stick with me. That and it's amazing how, like, because poetry and music are the same thing. And I want to do something now, right? This is pretty cool while we're doing this, and I love these kind of ones, and I know there's people out there that are going to be listening to this and really kind of feeling it. It's amazing how many songs you can remember. And don't forget, I've got a musical background as well, so I probably learn songs quicker than most. But just anyone, you know, you can be, you know, in a car with someone, and you know, you turn the radio on and you hear a song that you've not heard for 10, 15, 20 years, and all of a sudden you're singing along to it. And that's the kind of power of music and poetry, because music and poetry are the same thing. It's song lyrics. You know, when you've got words told in a rhythm, they just kind of sink in, don't they? They go into the heart. And, you know, there's pieces of poetry that I've written where they're quite long, but once you get into that rhythm and you know the story of it, the words just come. And I want to prove it now, right? My iPad's away. I want you to listen to this piece of poetry that I'm gonna read to you now, and listen to how long it is, how many words are in it, and how, you know, how you kind of remember something like this, because it surprises me even sometimes. Here we go. This is called Blind Perceptions. I know the strength inside of you, though all you feel is numb. Don't be afraid as eyesight fades for what is still to come. You will adjust. In these words, trust. We share these tunneled eyes. A mix of strength and anxiousness, the same in me applies. My shins are full of bruises and my confidence misplaced. At times, self-isolated, felt the world too much to face. So I'm here to remind you, all the times we fail don't matter. There's lots of misconceptions still. Let's remind them of the latter. It's not that complicated. Change how blindness is defined. Let's educate, articulate the many ways we're blind. It's never all or nothing, many shades and different views. Yet there's this stereotype they keep on printing in the news. No wonder some of us have fears when out in crowded place. They see the cane but can't explain why we look them in the face. There's some of us who stay at home, convinced of the excuse that because we don't look blind enough, there's a need to be recluse. Don't waste your life on people whose opinions are way off. Just swipe your cane with courage. Hold your head with pride aloft. So never doubt what we're about, despite what some believe. Come join me on my mission and change the way we are perceived. I won't let the haze that fills my eyes consume the rest of me. There's more to life than edge of knife, despite what I can't see. Try not to care as people stare with looks of vague suspicion. But why should I explain to them the terms of my condition? Though it's much simpler to stay home, won't waste another day. Their pity's just an obstacle that's getting in my way. And though I am blind, won't be confined by others' misconceptions. This poetry that spills from me will change their blind perceptions. Though anxious chest and days depressed, but far from disappeared. I've learned to breathe while I still grieve, control these things I've feared. My kids look on, not on what's gone, but all each day I teach. For if tomorrow their eyes pay, life's dreams are still in reach. So I'll not cry as vision dies, won't focus on the blur. No point in holding on to how those days and eyes once were. There you go.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
So you mean, I think I heard this in the YouTube channel, in your channel, but so like you mean like the words are like you're so comfortable with the words and you have like done it so many times, so it's like naturally comes. You mean that?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, it's literally, you know, it is like the song thing. You get the rhythms and you know, because it's you're telling a story. And you know, if you think about, like, I learn a piece by performing it, and just by listening to the piece. So if I'm trying to learn something new for a piece where I can't read it off the iPad or whatever, and I need to perform it on stage, or, you know, for a campaign or something like that, I'll just practice performing it, or I'll record it, a video of it, and I'll just kind of have it on playback and listen to it quite a lot. And that's the same way that, you know, most people would learn a song. You know, we all have, like, you know, we've all done it in our lives where we've heard a song's come out and it's a song, you know, we absolutely, oh, we're loving this song and it's our favorite song at that moment, and we just listen to it on repeat, don't we? You know, you know what, and after so many times listening to it, we're singing along to it and we know the word, and it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same with poetry.
Absolutely. Oh, now it makes so much sense. Do you use iPad at all, or you just mostly do that?
Yeah, you know, I'll use the iPad for sat, you know, for when I do the tea and poetry and things like that, I'll have the iPad sat here because quite often, you know, we'll get on talking about something, or we'll have a guest on and they'll be talking about their stories, and so it's something that they say will resonate with me, and it'll make me think of a poem that I've not read for like maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, and I can just go onto my notes, because all my poetry is in my notes, and I can type in a key word, you know, something that they've said that resonates me, and then that will pull up all the pieces of poetry with that key word in it, and I'll find the one that I'm thinking about, and then I can read it for them. So it works great that way. But yeah.
Great, thank you so much.
No problem at all, and thank you for coming back and continuing to kind of listen to us, and follow it. You know, it's nice to kind of, you know, speak to new people and read poetry for them, and I hope I get to meet you, you know, when I come out to Austin.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Fantastic. Well, listen, anyway, I'm going to send you back to listening in, and we'll see if anyone else wants to come and ask any more questions now we've kicked it off. So thanks very much, Ruthba.
Yeah.
Speak to you soon. There we go. Okay, so we are back. Barry's still in his meeting. The time now is, let me have a look at the time, because it always goes really quick. Oh my word, it's like 22. So that's 40 minutes gone already. So if anyone else has any more questions, please raise your hand. Let me see if there's any hands raised. How do I do this now? Sure, there's got to be someone else that wants to come on and ask any questions. You've got, you can pretty much ask anything that you want. Let me just see. This is me trying to. I'm just going to look in the Q&A if I can do that. So nothing in the Q&A, no hands raised. So in that case, while we're waiting, don't think I've missed any hands. I'm just going to, while anyone else wants to come on, I'm going to rate. I'll actually read another piece of poetry, and we're going to prove what we were just talking about with Ruthba. So for those people that haven't got any useful vision, I'm going to kind of hold my iPad up in front of the screen, which I'm doing right now. I'm going to go into my notes where all my pieces of poetry are stored, and I'm going to do it like a random kind of jukebox where I'm going to kind of scan along and then I'm going to read whatever I pick, just to show. And I can just, for those people that haven't got useful vision, I'm holding the iPad up with all the notes, and all my pieces of poetry are in a kind of column on the left-hand side of the iPad. And if I kind of do that, oh, hang on a second. Am I even on the right one? Oh, no, I was to say the list isn't that short. It's because I was searching on a particular word. If I go back to all iCloud, there we go. So on the left-hand side, and if I scan, you'll see literally hundreds of poems kind of going along. There we go. And they're still going. Yeah, still going. Right, okay, so let's see. I'm going to go to... Wow. So I've actually gone to a section back as far as 2016 here. So this is like really early days. Stand By Me RP came out in 2016 in February, which is RP Awareness Month. And I'm going to pick an early one. Let me see if I can find one. Okay, spare me 1 second. Okay, so this is an early one. I've probably not read this for years, and a lot of the earlier poems were kind of coming to terms with things, a lot of kind of raw emotions. And this one, I don't think it's got a title. It might be in the first book. I'm not 100% certain. This is an early poem, so you do have to bear with it a little bit. And this talks about how, we all kind of take backward steps at some point. We all stumble, but we find a way to keep going. So here we go. I thought that I was doing well, had finally learned to cope. It seems today my positive plans have left, gone up in smoke. My day was going really well, till slightest change of light, then mind-consumed anxiety by sudden loss of sight. This blindness, though not permanent, feels like glimpse of tomorrow. It brings with it blind panic, and your eyes wish I could borrow. I'm mad at me to let me down. I normally do so well, but now I'm full of worry, and this blindness feels like hell. I know that I am stupid to push loved ones away. Just while I'm here consumed by fear, it's the best place I can stay. Later, I will shake it off and get back to the fight. Just sometimes I get weary for forever battling sight. No, these feelings can just trigger at the smallest flick of switch. My blind spot's getting bigger, and this life feels such a bitch. It's a line and a half. Don't need to breathe as vision leaves. Still know I won't give in. Remember, bad days are a symptom, and tomorrow still can win. Try to recall after every fall, the good days will return. It's just another lesson that in blindness need to learn. So when I read that poem, obviously it's very early days when I was just kind of finding my craft. What that kind of says to me, it really makes me think about how, and I think we were just talking about with Sandy there about, when things are kind of new and raw, we try to find a balance in the way that we deal with things. And sometimes it can, the little things, little kind of adjustments can really kind of send us on a bit of a downward spiral. And, I used to, I don't do it so much now at all. But very much in those early days, and I know a lot of people out there will kind of relate to this. I used to really cut myself off from my family and hide myself away. What I used to do is I used to literally, if I was having a bad day and sometimes couldn't face the light or the glare was hurting my eyes so much and didn't want to burden my family with how I was feeling, I would shut myself away in a darkened room, lie there, try and rest my eyes as much as possible, refocus, and I'd write about it. And, a lot of the first book actually came from that. And it was what I needed to do at the time. and it was what I thought was best, because I didn't want to worry my family as much. When I look back on it now, yeah, we all need to kind of rest and recover and refocus, but sometimes actually, you know, being quiet and hiding away actually is more of a burden to our loved ones, because, you know, we honestly, you know, don't think that while we're lying in a darkened room kind of trying to get ourselves sorted out, that they're not just still out there worrying. But that was where I was at the time. So yeah, I've learned a lot from that. But what I was certainly trying to say in that piece of poetry was that, you know, no matter what, as we said right at the beginning of the call, we always find a way to adjust, and the bad days never last. And that's something I always take great confidence in. I do believe we've just been rejoined. You need to unmute yourself.
Hey, good afternoon, good evening again. Sorry, I had to step away there.
That's okay.
And sorry.
Is that Dave Steele?
Is that Mr. Kirk Adams?
That's Dr. Kirk Adams.
Oh, Dr. Kirk Adams. Hey.
Foundation for the Blind. We're here in New York City with Barry Asman. We have Amir Rahimi, one of the team members of the American Foundation for the Blind.
Good
And
afternoon.
Roz Adams is here. And we have been solving all the problems of the world this afternoon, Dave.
Well, first of all, can I just say what an absolute pleasure and honor it is to have you joining us, you know, here on Tea and Poetry. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there listening who are, you know, thrilled to kind of have you on the call.
yeah,
I was trying to think of a quick poem to hit you with, but I thought I should not mess with the master. So I'm hoping that you'll bless us with some of your work.
Absolutely. And can I just say, I'll never forget, you know, meeting you for the first time in the old offices of, it was the old offices of AFB, wasn't it? Was it New York we first met?
no,
I'm trying to think.
Arlington, yeah.
Oh,
It was the new and improved.
oh no, it was the new one, wasn't it? That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It was. We sat around the table and I read some poetry, and you said that I was going in your cool book.
That's right. Well, I have this cool blind people file. I call it the CBP. So you're in the CBP, the cool blind people file.
Absolutely love that. That's amazing. So, Barry, you know, fill us in. Where have we been? What's been going on today?
With us on our side.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm in New York today, and had the luxury of catching up with Kirk here on the East Coast. Last time we were on the West Coast, and I'm just joining Kirk on his way to his next meeting, and you know, we figured that we would pop in and say a quick hello and maybe hear a little poetry.
Absolutely. Let me just find something right for you now.
We are driving down 34th Street in Manhattan, coming to 9th Avenue. So figured we'd pop in.
Fantastic. So, well, there's a couple of pieces that kind of come to mind. There was one actually just sprung to mind, and we did kind of we did kind of do a little bit of it last week, but I wanted to share this with Kirk while he's there and the guys in the car as well. This is a piece called Coast to Coast, and I think you're really going to like this one. Yeah, here we go. I'm just going to read it. So this is Coast to Coast. Long ago, when I could see like everybody else, I didn't have much time to think about others, just myself. It's strange now that the less I see, it seems the more I can. For the first time in my life, I have a sense of who I am. The world I view is fading, soon the sight I have will pass. Spent days gone by complaining, now I live each day like last. The smallest things appreciate, bedtime stories with my son. No need for life's material things to feel like I have won. My greatest of achievements are the things you cannot see. It started with a simple song, my Stand By Me RP. The music and the poetry that pours straight from my heart has reached across the oceans, and it's still only the start. My books are read by many, use the message that's inside to show us that we're not alone, no need for us to hide. For losing independence is a temporary thing. I'll change the misconceptions with each lyric that I sing. So all of you out there listening, I am asking for your hand to tell the world about my words to help them understand. Our eyesight may be dying, but we still see more than most. Each VIP's incredible. Spread the word from coast to coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Coast to coast.
I'll put you on the front page of the Cool Blind People folder now.
See, moving on up.
Yeah, well, I'll keep working on it. Listen, we've had a great hour. We've had some really good conversations while you've been away at your meeting. We've had a lot of new people on the calls asking questions with regards to what I did was while you were away. I wanted to do a real kind of open session where we invite people on, new people on that have been on the call for the first time, to ask me any questions whatsoever. And we just had we just had a great caller who's one of our first time callers, called Ruthba, and she's in Austin in Texas, and she was asking me about what my process is with kind of writing. I was sharing her a little bit of a background on my story, and was saying about how, you know, over 1,000 poems now, and none of them have taken longer than 20 minutes to write, because if it's not coming from the heart, it's not worth writing. But what I was saying was, she was asking was, how do I remember, you know, a lot of these poems? And I was kind of likening it to learning songs, and I'm sure Kurt can kind of relate to this. You know, we hear a piece of music that kind of strikes us in the heart, and that we love, and we when we initially kind of hear the song for the first time, we get hooked on it and we play it, and you know, we listen to it on repeat for a few weeks, and that just kind of sinks in, and that's the kind of way I write poetry. And I'm sort of doing that at the moment. I know, Barry, we've been talking about some of the projects that I've been working on over the past, you know, couple of months now. And I've had to do that even more so with performing at some of these events that we're now starting to do. I wrote a piece of poetry for Audi, which we did the event for, which was great. I just did, I don't know if Kirk, I don't know if Barry shared this with you, but I just did a commercial for Kellogg's here in Europe.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Kellogg's have got a new piece of technology coming out in 2022 across Europe, and hopefully going to be soon making its way to America. And what it is, it's an app called NaviLens, and they're going to have this kind of NaviLens code, like a QR code, on the side of every Kellogg's box by next year. And when you have the app on your phone, you point it towards the cereal box, and it reads out all the information on the package. So they approached us initially to kind of film a social media commercial of me making breakfast for the family and talking about little tips and tricks that I use, like things like putting different colored labels on the side of boxes and using things like liquid level indicators. And what I decided to do was, instead of actually just talking about it, is write a piece of poetry talking about how I make breakfast for the family and how I experience it as a person with low vision. And they ended up using the poem for the commercial instead of what they originally asked for. And I'll quickly read it for you now and see what you think, Kirk. And this is for everyone in the car as well.
We're gonna have you read that, and then we're gonna end it right there for us, because we're actually we're at our destination. So I'm gonna have you read it real quick. I'm sorry it's real short, but we're gonna have Kirk come on for the full hour for in the future. And
sure. Okay, well, let me finish on reading this, and then hopefully we'll get to speak to you again, Kirk. So thank you very much for coming on quickly, but let me read you this quickly. When blindness took a hold and changed the way my eyes can see, it made me cherish precious moments with my friends and family. And on the mornings we sit down and gather round our table, I love to make them breakfast, gaze at them while I'm still able. I perfected quite a system whilst I listen to them chat about what they'll do at school and who does this and who says that. A different coloured label on the side of every box, so I don't mix up wifey's cornflakes with our Austin's Cocoa Pops.
Yeah.
My trusty liquid level indicator as I fill each bowl with fresh cold milk so I don't overpour or spill. And yes, sometimes I break some things or even get it wrong, but I'm here with the people that I love, and it's here where I belong. Although my loved one's face is fading, I'm not sad, no, I'm not scared. I'm too busy watching them all eat the breakfast I prepared.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Part of a balanced breakfast, Dave. What a
Absolutely.
poetry.
Listen, thank you so much for joining us on Tea and Poetry. And enjoy the rest of your day, guys. And hopefully
Thank
we'll
you.
catch up properly soon. And hopefully I'm going to be seeing you when I come over.
Yeah,
towards the
we
end of
look
the year.
forward to having you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Enjoy the rest
All
of your
right.
day, guys. Thank you very much.
We'll see you later. You can, yeah, you'll wrap things up, but we'll
I'm
see
gonna wrap
I'll
things
see
up.
everyone next week. Very
Absolutely.
good.
Thank you, Barry. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye-bye.
And there we go. Amazing. Kirk Adams, the president of the AFB, in a car on the way from a meeting. Big things happening. And yeah, Kirk's an amazing guy. I'm sure there's people out there that know of Kirk. If you don't know about the AFB, then you need to get online and check them out. It was funny, actually. Those people who've followed me for a while will know about this, but there's maybe a few people out there that don't. When we went into lockdown at the end or at the beginning of 2020, just as kind of the whole world shut down and everything got kind of all the restrictions came into play, I had my bags packed at the door and I was ready to fly out. It was literally a few days before I was ready to fly out to DC, and I was asked by Kirk and AFB to be the host of last year's annual Helen Keller Achievement Awards in DC, and it was going to be such an amazing event. Reading poetry and getting to sing Stand By Me RP, and present the awards at this very prestigious ceremony where previous winners have been people like Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Apple, Rebecca Alexander, lots and lots of amazing people from inside and outside the low vision and blindness community. And I was asked to be the host of it, but it was not meant to be due to COVID. And hopefully one day I will get back to doing that. And it's been a big ambition of mine to actually win one at some point for the work I do within the blind community. So touch wood, these things might happen. Anyway, listen, we have got to that stage now. I am going to wrap things up. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's kind of listened in tonight. Stay tuned. Next week, I will be coming to you possibly on the road next week, because I'm going to be in London, doing some filming down there for this big project I'm working on at the moment, and in a recording studio, recording some poetry for this campaign. But we'll be able to talk more about it in the future. So guys, from myself, the Blind Poet, it is I'm going to bid you a good night now, and don't forget to tune in next week for another hour of tea and poetry. Take care, guys.
Thank you for watching Tea and Poetry, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Join us live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK. A big thank you to our sponsors, the Lanny D. Chesapeake Lighthouse and the Low Vision Shop. If you enjoyed Tea and Poetry, please invite a friend, like, share, and subscribe.